Welcome to Squadron ScaleWorkshop. My name is Brett Green, and today, just a few minutes ago, the latest exciting new release dropped on my doorstep, and that is a white box test shot of Tamiya's 1/48 scale P-38F Lightning. Now, the title P-38F actually undersells the contents somewhat because the P-38H was externally identical to the G, so you can actually build a P-38F or H variant from this box. Now, I thought, once again, before I take a really detailed look with high definition photos and detailed text review, that I might share with you the experience of opening the box for the first time and rustling through those cellophane bags. So, without any further ado, let's see what's inside. Well, the first thing I notice is that the plastic is Tamiya's typical test shot light grey. I think what we'll find with the full commercial release is that the kit will be moulded in a darker grey plastic than this. But I would expect at this late stage that there won't be many changes between the test shot sprues that we're looking at now and the final production version that hits the shelves in a few months. So, this is nice. What we have here is the upper section of the fuselage pod moulded with a full span upper wing. And we can also see that there's essentially a cover that will go over the front of the nose and inserts at the rear of the engine nacelles, upper engine nacelles for the supercharger intakes. So that's very nice. We can see also fairly sparse but very crisp and fine detail, typical of Tamiya. Very, very nice indeed. So that is Sprue A, not surprisingly. Next in the box, individual cellophane bags here, so the parts aren't going to rub against each other and scuff. This is Sprue G, and this sprue includes the lower fuselage pod with the inboard section of the lower wings. It also includes two alternative instrument panels, the cockpit tub parts, sidewalls, and a seated pilot. We also have the control yoke and a number of other cocktail detail parts. So mostly cockpit on that Sprue G. Next up, looks like we have the booms. This being Sprue F. We have the booms, we have undercarriage doors, we have the supercharger intakes, wingtips, and the nose. So let's take a look. We have I think a clue that we'll probably see different variants in the future because the lower engine cowl is a completely separate part. So that's the main area that distinguishes these early E, F, G, H aircraft from the later J's and similar. We also have the supercharger intakes, as I mentioned before. Very nice there. We have undercarriage parts as well. The nose is a separate part and is included on this sprue, as well as undercarriage doors and a few other details. So lovely moulding. Once again, very crisp, recessed, mostly panel lines. Not too many rivets involved in this. The next sprue is Sprue B, and And this supplies the outer lower wing sections. We also have the propellers, the big horizontal tail plane, and looks like the two parts here are the covers over the top of the forward upper fuselage pod as well. So some important parts there, obviously. Next we have what appear to be two identical sprues. I'll just take one out of the bag. And they are sprues D, this one here, and E. So we have, I think is it a 75 gallon, 100 gallon? I'm not sure, I'll have to check that. Might be 100 gallon, 150, but I'll confirm that later on. We also have the main wheels, which offer a covered hub or a spoked wheel. We also have the lower, the supercharger and lower intake parts. So this sprue looks like it's specific to the FG kit, and any later variants will have a different sprue to this one. So that's about it for sprues D and E. And there are two of those identical sprues. And the final grey sprue that we have here is sprue C. And we have, this is an interesting part. It looks like the undercarriage with an integral connection to the supercharger as well. We've got a lot of undercarriage parts here by the look of it. Parts are detailed on both sides in a lot of cases. I think what I'd like to draw your attention to here is the way that Tamiya is handling the tricky undercarriage doors, which have been a problem, I've heard, from many modelers who've been building the Hasegawa and Academy kits. Tamiya has moulded the mounting rail and also quite a stout mounting sort of rectangle here with the door itself. So there shouldn't be any problem in actually mounting this accurately and getting quite a realistic look about the open undercarriage doors as well. That's a clever little piece of engineering there. Very, very nice. Now, one last sprue, and that is the clear sprue. And that is labelled Sprue H. And we have two alternative canopies. Looks like there's probably going to be one for the F and one for the G/H in the closed position. And we also have an open position canopy available as an option too. So in addition to these, we have the gun sight lens, various formation lights and landing lights as clear parts as well. Now we have also the little history leaflet, which we typically find in Tamiya kits. Next up we have the two painting guides, and in this case Tamiya has given us an A3 sheet for each of the two options that are available to us. And the first one is White 147, which was part of Operation Vengeance, the attack on Admiral Yamamoto's Betty in April 1943. And the second subject, also covered in two sides on an A3 sheet, is White 33 of the 39th Fighter Squadron in Port Moresby in late 1942. So this one, by the way, is an F, I think, and the other is a G. What we also have here are the instructions. Typical booklet, 20 pages in this case. Tamiya don't usually supply parts tree, and they continue that tradition now. But we have some well-drawn illustrations with all the options laid out nicely by the look of it. And that should be quite straightforward to follow. We now have the decal sheet, quite small, and also the masking sheet. So let me just open that with a knife. There we go. So the masking sheet is typical of Tamiya's recent offerings, where it's self-adhesive, but you need to actually cut out the individual masks with a sharp knife. This is no particular big deal, and the glasshouse nature of the canopy means that this mask is a really helpful time saver for you, even if you do have to cut it out. And then we have the decal sheet itself. There we go. So we have the markings for the two aircraft, and just moving that in the light a little bit, you can see some very realistic mirrors that they've given you as decals as well. So that's a nice touch. Stencil markings are included on this decal sheet as well. Another piece of paper in the bottom of the box are some generic modelling hints and tips. Two sides of a page, a little bit smaller than A4. And the very last thing in the box is actually stuck to the bottom, and I might just leave it there for the time being. And it's 3 large ball bearings, which will be the nose weight for this model. So there we have it, the much anticipated Tamiya 1/48 scale P-38F G Lightning, which you can also build with different markings as a P-38H. It looks fantastic, it really does. The surface texture is everything that we've come to expect from Tamiya, restrained, crisp and accurate. The engineering looks sensible. It looks like it's been designed specifically to make it as easy as possible to get good alignment and easy fit. And I cannot wait to get this one started. So from Squadron Scale Workshop, this is Brett Green. Bye for now.